Sometimes the most boring champion you can imagine is insanely powerful for solo queue. Not Maokai, Wukong. Now, I don't mean he's boring in the sense of, like a Maokai jungle, but we've had a lot of Wukong over the years in pro play and high elo. I remember 2014, 10 years ago, Dominate and Night Blue 3 playing Wukong when they first put him in the jungle as a dominating pick. Man, so it's been a long time. However, just got some buffs not too long ago. We're against Virkayu, the objectively most well-designed jungler, and I say that every time I cover Lee Sin or Virkayu, just so when I say it about Virkayu, Lee Sin mains get upset, and when I say it about Lee Sin mains, Virkayu mains get upset, so there you go. Anyway, definitely one of the most powerful champions in the game in terms of the jungle position. He is doing a red Krugs Raptors. We have here Yasubi against Katarina. I love it when we have Prio and they go and do this. It's a little naughty, but the thing is, I see this in coaching and I see this in a lot of different environments. And the Katarina here is like, well, I better catch the wave before I rotate. The Viega's now insanely compromised, which is why in these matchups, as a jungler, please just start the Raptors if you can, especially Yasuo into winning shove matchups, because he will get in your face, he will take your stuff, and you will not be happy about it. Better just to start Raptors. Now, obviously, the alternative is, if you're fast enough, just to get out of there, and this isn't a problem either. Most junglers, like the Wukong, if I'm coaching them in lower MMRs, so master and below, and I see this, they don't actually end up punishing it. They don't understand that this gives them an insane advantage here over finishing your clear, over looking at the prior for the Scuttle Crab, over ganking bottom lane, right? So that advantage is not realized. This guy has decided that actually, you know what, I'm going to skip the Krugs, I'm going to go in and invade the Virkayu. Obviously, this is the thing that you should be doing, not necessarily the invade, but hold on a second. We can W over the wall there and smack a dack, hit an E for a dash, and one more bonk and auto attack, and the Virkayu's decided to rotate as well. He is not yet realized that the bottom lane wasn't there. This is just an absolute nonsensical play for Virkayu. So you're about to be Astro invaded. You're seeing this. Katarina's bringing down the Yasuo. I think once you see this and you see this, you got to pull your head out of your own asshole and say, look, I'm taking the blue, I'm bouncing. Snack it, buy it, back to base, swap sides, don't even back to base, just swap sides for the Scuttle Crab. You got prior top lane. This guy's killable, maybe. Create some jungle spacing between you and the Wukong. Wukong obviously flexes back to over the wall. Little Q there. There's the E-dash auto attack. And obviously that Q has a reset component, so make sure you keep attacking and get the final bonk. Hugely bad play by the Virkayu, but this is a reward for the Wukong applying their pressure. Now, if you're Karthus, you're not going to be doing this. I understand that. But if you are a jungler that can actually capitalize on this invade by your Yasuo, please do, because this entire scenario now, this is because of Yasuo's Raptor flotation, right? And the fact that Virkayu didn't react appropriately, but he used the map to his advantage and got the maximum advantage out of it. People don't do that. But that's why Wukong is so damn good, because he allows this, right? He can spike at 6 and chill. He can do a 3 camp, 1 quadrant mega fisting bot lane. He can cut into a 5 camper, still one of the few champions that's actually okay with this. Champion is everything you need to climb. Now, I didn't put him in the solo carry video on the main channel just because there are better choices. Virkayu comes out of base. We know he's going to go topside scuttle. The Yasuo should know these things. It's high elo. You got to track this stuff. The Wukong should also be pinging it just to communicate. So we're going a little bit back and forward there. And now Virkayu goes back to his Krugs. We watch this. We observe this. We track this, all right? You're not going to be dumb about it, but you just keep your eyes up here. For a Wukong, Shen will always kind of be useful. I understand having good Shen, fed is always nice. But Shen will be useful regardless. So in Shen lanes, you see 9 CS to 23 CS, Viegos here, you're like, well, maybe I just go down and play around for myself and for Yasuo and for Ashe maybe. Oh, for Syndra, sorry. No, Ashe. Why do I think there was an Ashe? Well, its skins all look the same anyway. Virkayu goes down to Raptors. We're down at Raptors. Look at the advantage here, right? Virkayu had an opportunity to mitigate this. Yes, Yasuo did cheese against him. Happens. How we react to cheese is always the most important thing, good or bad. Whether you're doing it, reacting to it, having it against you, doesn't matter. Most important thing. Wukong is really good at it because, well, warrior trickster. Yeah, got his cooldown buffed as well. So we know we have that advantage. And again, we skip the Krugs. We go in here. We've got the Hearthbound Axe. We didn't go for the Sheen. We got the Longsword here. Obviously, this enables us to farm a little bit quicker as well rather than going for the Sheen. But the Sheen is good in the fisting components here. But you don't need it, because if we clear faster, we can get you faster, so we can push him out anyway, because they're great stats, and we got Virkayu. He's playing the map to perfection and cutting off the Viego to perfection. Not a lot of junglers, outside of the core, like 10 or so best meta carry junglers, can actually apply this kind of pressure with no consideration for their own safety. Because, you know, I tried this stuff on Zyra, you know, and sure I can do it, but you gotta head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching, coaching classes, a jungle VOD library, special weekly content you'll see nowhere else. All of this available through a premium jungle Discord, which is highly active, a huge community that help each other climb using my jungle program and courses. As we have seen by everybody hitting their peak rank goals in Split 1 and Split 2 of Season 14 as fast as possible. So to climb faster than everybody you know and to jungle diff every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg or click the link in the description below. If a Katarina runs at me with a Braum and a Caitlyn, I don't have a good time, right? So Wukong here again cuts out the Krugs, gets down to business there, and of course now you'll notice here, level 1 Krugs. He hasn't done them yet. Legacy player. Now obviously here we have no top prio. Viega's gonna show up here. You know, the fact of the matter is we really needed that grub to get 6. You get 6 that you can fight it. Obviously here the Darius isn't even in the picture. And yes, and the Viegas, yeah, just, we're talking about the level 1 Krug, but just look at the setup, right? We know that this guy has gone back to base to buy. We've seen all of this in the F keys. Obviously, we're not always talking about it, but make sure you're F keying around. The Viego decides, look, I anticipate maybe the Wukong's doing something he isn't, but he cut across here, so I think I can contest this. Now, Wukong should get this. 100% he smites early, he should get this. This is 6, this is all, and this is the fist. This is what we do. Now, obviously, we've left the Krugs in the map, but that's fine, because we stole his Grumps and things like this, and blue. Well, not the blue, but yeah. So, this contest here from the Viego, for me, is a little weird, because look at the map, right? Look at the fog of war. It is dark and full of terrors. Your Katarina's not here, she's died. Though Darius is on base. The Braum hasn't had time to rotate. It's a silly contest. But this mistake, right, again, is caused by the Wukong's pressure. Imagine a world where he full clears this instead of cuts up for the invade. Doesn't happen. Imagine where he's full close again. The second rotation doesn't cut up to invade, knowing he has clear tempo to kill him or to push him out. This game is different. So all of this is because of Wukong as a champion and because the guy's jungling really well. And you don't have to think too much about it, right? And that's why it's so strong. But more to the point that I want to get to, when the Wukong is fed and buys the Trinity Force, I have personally had not had fun against that. Now, I've not personally decided to run with it because, you know, on this channel, I like to sell the champions to you. Like, I want you all to understand, hey, these champions are great for your chosen needs. This is what they do well, and this is how you can maximize them, right? Because that's the point. Because every champion has their pros, has their cons, has their applications. But my champions don't like the Wukong with Trinity Force when he's fed. So I play very much, you know, like the Viego here, when I told you I would just cut across and take this, gank this, sack this, back to base this, snack this, or snack this up and down, depending on what the Wukong was doing. I mean it, because that's the only way I'm playing the game. I'm playing away from this guy. I'm avoiding these invades as much as possible. I don't want to be out-tempo farmed, invaded on my second rotation Grump. This is not something I want to do. I mean, who does? So, avoid those situations if you're against the Wukong. But if you're the Wukong, look to punish those that don't know those things, right? That don't understand how strong Wukong can be. Look, another mega clear here. Obviously, the Viego will have reset down to the bottom side. Wukong has decided not to base here. I'm okay with that, just to deny the counter jungling. Also, we are so strong with this itemization. We're not necessarily looking to go Omega stupid fisting, but we will counter gank it. And that's the biggest thing here. Look to counter gank it. One more bonk. One more spin to win first. There it is. You know, people will say, but like, you got so much gold, man. It doesn't matter. Warrior tricks to 8 seconds. It doesn't matter. Warwicks, Wukongs, when you are spiking, comparatively to everybody else, even if you don't spend the gold, it's fine. Should have smited. Or do we? No. Do we? No. Yeah. Do we? Well, you know. All of it was good up until this moment. But right here, we have smite. We have smite. I can't but help thinking, if you hit the smite initially, right? Maybe it will be enough for you to get a range for a bonk, even if you die? Because I know the idea is not to die here, but when you see this, you're like, well, shit, I think I might die. If that's the case, smite, kill her, move on with your life. But yeah, either way, a little bit over-aggressive. This is where it doesn't make my point. My point was, hey, with 3,000 gold, there's no reason with 3,000 gold, there's no reason to really go for those fights. But if you know Viega's going to be there, you know you have a relative lead, you're denying the counter jungle, you can make a mega play down there and get kills, do it. But then you have to realize that there's a limitation to that. If he had spent, then yes, we can go for the flash play. She 100% dies, right? She's straight up dead. But because he had him based, right, that was the price of doing business. So hopefully you understand that we stayed out there to match the Viego because we spent time doing the grubs, to counter gank him if he's there, because that's what we can do. We're not going to drive a fight, but we will react to a fight. However, know when it's time to pull the plug, go back to base and actually spend the 2 to 3K. Big thing to think about when you do these extended sequences. You stay at a long period of time. Really, this is like a great ultimate solo carry thesis. Ultimate carry guide for you in terms of how to think from the jungle to jungle matchup primarily. Because when you think about the jungle to jungle matchup primarily as a source of your game plan and how you path in terms of tempo, you often will be in a better position to impact lanes and get objectives. Because you force the enemy jungler to be warped according to your gravity. Going to do something about this with a less aggressive jungler next week on the main channel to talk about this concept. But everything he's done here has been to think about the Viego, and as an extension is able to very easily, quote unquote, react, get these kills, and make these plays. And I think, well, he's not thinking about the Viego here. No, he is. Because he saw the Viego go back loop, he reacted to this because he could, because he's matching, but he has such a big lead, all he has to do is wait for him to go away, go and kill the Katarina 2v1, eliminate the coin flip, and now you decide, do I invade, counter gank here, do I do the dragon, or do I cut up and do the grubs? Your choice here, you're going to have to eventually make that choice. Darius decides to int himself, Viego gets a kill on the bottom side, that's why I kind of like your matching for this, shadow and snack and kill. But if you are hard winning the game, I also love getting the grubs. Really, it's an A or B decision. They can be both equally as good or equally as bad as each other depending on how your game's going. But in this situation, it's really just A-B testing. But AA testing, in a way. B-B testing. There's no ways I can sell this. We'll move on. So we finished up the grubs. We have 5, they have 1. We know this guy's going to take the dragon, and he'll get the bottom scuttle. Yasuo doesn't know when to stop Eing because such is the champion's mains. We have a double mage bot lane because someone on Twitter said, ADCs are silly and they're sucky and they're bad. And that guy's an idiot because ADC is absolutely fine. If I have to lose one more game because I got a mage bot lane and no sustained DPS to kill the 200,000 stack Cho'Gath, I'm going to be a little bit vexed. Let's be honest here. Like, we need ADCs to have a good point in the game. They satisfy 99.99% of MMR's need for a long-range auto attack hitting, sustained DPS, turret shredding, tank shredding, champion class, which isn't given to us, as always, by Luxes and Syndras against certain comps. Now, in this game, it should be fine. They're doing okay, but hopefully you understand my point. Like, there's always a place and a time to pick your mage's bot lane, but now people are just picking it because ADCs suck. I mean, what are you whinging about? The champion class was so bloody broken for 6 months this year, made all of us have depression. Honestly, you're fine. Get better. Much like, just I cannot with this, because I would much rather have a Fed Jinx, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa on my team against compositions like this than a Syndra Lux. Now, granted, Lux can be broken as hell, but I think we all know it kind of depends on the Lux. So now she's roaming, we enjoy that. Now we're going to see the power of the Lux with the Wukong. This should be pretty good. We have the Syndra top lane, so now the CC stacking burst damage will be here greatly. This is where it's really good. The concern is, if this isn't the situation you have, and you got big beefy people against you, you just need that the mobility and that sustained DPS for turrets. So I understand that mages bot lane are performing strongly. Just saying, as a jungler, know who you're pathing towards and understand who you're playing with. In this game, I do not want to end up in a 5v5. I want to make sure that we are pushing this game to end, all according to Wukong's power. That was the Trinity Force with the Swifties. Mega fastness. Now, everyone will go back to base. We're worried about the counter jungling. Obviously, that's going to happen. We spent a lot of time top lane. Viego overcommits for it, as always. Wukong is just so damn fed and big, and this is, as I said, where Lux is really good from support. Lux is always good support. I mean, you can have a Caitlyn, but they don't have to pair it with a Syndra. I'm not convinced that that the Braum and the Viego needed to be there, but they were. That all being said, Syndra's a great champion when paired with the good bottom lane mate, and they've done very well CSing and exploiting that prio, and Wukong played around that prio. See, that's also worth noting here. That's kind of why I'm talking so much about this. Because as the Wukong, as we finish off our camps, you watch this, right? Immobile, dead. Wukong is going to rotate here. Can we snag some kills here? 99%. Can we block this one? Yes, we can. We use a clone. Well, not necessarily use our body, but who cares? We're Trinity Force plus this item here, Tunneler. Just for sure not sexual whatsoever. Caitlyn repositions, and we're good. So, Syndra and Lux had prio, especially these double range mage bot lanes. They will. Enemy junglers like to gank them and kill them because they're not very mobile, right? If the Wukong ignored that lane entirely or didn't punish the Viego entirely, look at the champion damage that he brings through with the Trinity Force. Bonk, debonk, debonk. So much DPS, so much... bonking? Yeah, basically it's a monkey, says about what he does. Q-Max, 3 into E at this point, just huge. Huge sustained damage over time, huge CC, gap close, unhit reset. Champion got everything, right? So, if we don't take away the Viego out of this game twice, 3 times, what would he have done to your bot lane? Immobile Mage double pushing bot lane. They die a whole bunch. Caitlyn's really, really fed. This becomes a much more difficult game. But because they do have that pride, the Wukong played around that and made sure that the enemy jungler did not exist, which is why having a jungler have that actual jungle versus jungle matchup as priority 1 in their game plan, it's just the best way to solo carry games. Always sets you up for the greatest success rather than thinking, hey, I need to gank bot lane. Now, if enemy jungler going to gank bot lane, prevent him, bot lane gank will come as an extension. Or if they're winning, like this one, you just let them keep winning. Not always, obviously, I understand this and have nuance in your thinking, but as a general proposition, I do believe strategically, over the years of my practices and coaching, that's always worked out best for people looking to carry into high elo, get to diamond for the first time, get out of low elo, things like this. It just helps refine the thinking, remove variables, remove variance, and if there's a weak enemy jungler who's down 2 levels, you're good to go. This guy's managed to do a decent job offsetting some of the CSing, getting a few cleanup kills, especially seeing as his terrible pathing is why he's in the situation in the first place. But the Wukong has a categorical lead, 8.7 to 6.8k gold. Huge. Huge. So, we'll take those, move up for the Herald. We'll give up the Dragon, no one cares. You can always go into the jungle here to try and look for camps if you are certain there is something, and obviously we can flank here without a position. I'm curious if the Viego goes and steals like camps. 99% he will. There he is. And which means while he does that, you do the flank here from the angle. There's the scout of the week. He does miss. Caitlyn has E. We're going to dash onto that one, hit the plant, go for the wall at the wrong angle. But now Caitlyn's used it. There's the bunk. Huge damage. Ult just to make sure we finish off that kill, just in case Viego comes around the wall. He chooses to show restraint. He does actually go around the wall. Braum stops the Herald. Now we see Darius running away from the Yasuo. Wukong's like, I can rotate to that. There's a heal. Waiting for the Warrior Trickster. There it is. Moves away. Can we get in range for E? We cannot, so we bounce. 50-50 on that one. I understand why we rotated, but, applying pressure here, killing this, taking these camps, shoving this. Always my preferred play, just to keep the map pushing, right? Because, again, we just want to keep the map pushing. We don't want to give the Viego resets, the Katarina resets, time for the Caitlyn to scale up a little bit. We just want to make sure this game closes out nice and tight. Trinity Force into Sundered Sky. There's Viego. Are we close to 13? No, actually. So he's done a solid job being within touching distance, but we should at 13 pretty soon, on this quadrant even. See if we get it with the Wolves. Be fringe. I don't, maybe not. Nah, there you go. Right, I was like, probably not, because the Wolves don't give as much experience. And the bar was a little too far away. Baron in a minute. Scuttlecrab top side. Now, here's where things can get interesting. Third item, at this particular stage, if you're straight up going to hardcore win, there ain't nothing wrong with going with maybe a GA just to keep yourself alive. In a longer sustained environment where you're planning these fights against Darius's and Katarinas and Viegos, Braums and Caitlyn's, having that Death's Dance to give you a bit more survivability, delay a lot of that damage is huge. And, you get armor too, so that's nice. Then, more of a Mortius does work, but obviously, if those situations aren't as palpable, you can always just go for a nice old-fashioned Sterex Gauge. And there's the Lux. You see, as I said, like she does have the options to do this, but that's a Lux thing. Oh, yes, she's dead. Kind of was like, well, I accept my fate here. There's a knock-up. So let's see the power here. There's a Shen ultimate. We're going to dodge it with a nice E-dash to the Katarina. There's the R2. We're going to flash for that one. Brom comes in for the shield W and the E-shield, literal shield. Darius is flanking from that side. Wukong is now hanging back a little bit, waiting for cooldowns. There's a double hook from the Darius. We are now spacing. Yasuo shows up. In and out gameplay. We do have Warrior Tricks back up here. Over the wall we go. Great spacing we go. That's an E into a W. Now we're moving away again. We've pressed Q a little preemptively because ain't nobody to Q. We do have E up if they get close to the wall, which they do, and then we Q him. So, really good use of W's up again. And there's the E. Auto attacks. Nice finish from the Yasuo. We'll take those shots. This is what you need to carry. Keep yourself alive when you're really fed. Understand cooldowns in and out. Shadow the fight nicely. Too many times, people die there when they're fed. They overcommit. They try to be hero. Don't be Superman. Be Batman, right? That means that you don't necessarily have to save everybody like Superman does, but you also can be neutral about it, right? Like, Superman wants to save everybody all the time, and in these situations, these superhero junglers, the Superman junglers, they try too hard to help their team and make everyone come out alive, and in turn they die. In turn, that swings the game around. Whereas with the Batman approach would be like, well, you know, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either. And so they just kind of watch until there's a better moment to go in. So hands off a little bit sometimes. Keep yourself alive is number one. Because remember, if you die, who's going to hunt down the Joker? And in this particular case, we're not against the Shaker, but I feel like that's a good lesson. Because it's that champion. Always that champion. Katarina's out of position. We'll catch a wave here. We saw Viego briefly on the ward. Hopefully you did. The team did. So they're clearing that vision off. I will hit that one just to see. RNG Scuttle should shot. We hit this one. We're going to get Mega Vision, but we don't need it because they're in vision. Why, Viego? Well, Merc Treads did a lot of work there, actually. Oh, well, we also have Mikhail's. Just so you know, Ken's out of position, and that's where Syndra's good against ADCs, and that's where the pick is nice. But here you can see we're not exactly running away with these fights. There's Shen ulting and dying. Can we win this 2v3? I believe we can. We are fed. We do have Death's Dance now on board. No micro stacks for this, which is dumb. Always sad about that. See, look at the caution here. You want to avoid the Braum too much. There's a dash onto the Darius. We're going to do some Mega ults here. Hopefully not get stunned up. We're able to kill him first. The healing from the Sundered Sky is absolutely nutty. The damage and DPS and the bonks of Machine and Trinity Force is absolutely ridiculous. The HP is nice. The attack speed is nice. 2,600 bonus damage. You can't see it, but I would never lie to you guys. And 1779 healing done on Sundered Sky already. So you're looking at just one of the ultimate solo queue packages. Now, any of the solo carry junglers in the main channel video that I released this week, you play like this, you will climb. You'll reach your chosen peak and desired goal by the end of the season. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. You're not inting. Every action has a dedicated reason for it to occur. You're cutting off the Viego at every particular moment. You're not overtly counter jungling, although you can do that, and that'll be a separate video because that's a different style. There is a bit more coin flip in your laners there, but if you can force a jungler to play your game without ganking your laners because of how you counter jungle, that's the secret tech. We'll take the red away. 1900 golds. Dragons up. Baron secured. We can just go tank here. You can go Sterix, Gage 2. You can go GA. As I said, you can go more. You can go Black Cleaver. Typical fighter items. Or you can, of course, go 2 tank items as you need. It's obviously warded all the way up into the jungle. Do we care? Nope. Look for this wave to shove it up a little bit if you don't acquaint with the fight or if it's a more equal game. Just because you don't want this, you know. These mini waves being slower here really does hurt us now. That nerf is where we're waiting to set it up. Viego's just grossly out of position. This is no reason to be there whatsoever. But as always, just punish him. He's tilted. You shit on him. He's a 6 TS lead, but who really cares? We're Wukong. We skipped our Krugs. This almost, you know, it's level 11. If that was still level 1, I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't recommend that, but it is what it is. There's the Wukong Mega Engage with the Yasuo. And everybody's dead. Except for Caitlyn, who, of course, flashed the wall. Now we can shove in. So, a really great example of 1v9 carry jungling. Really great example, really great example of understanding the win conditions against the enemy jungler and what laners you have and how to play around it. Great example of high pressure, team fight mechanics. Even when things look like they're going badly, if you're fat and one other person is fat, it's all about your positioning, cooldowns, in and outs, mechanical godness. And of course, using Wukong to fling feces all over the place. I said something else, I don't want to be demonetized, so I re-recorded it.